Good morning again, everybody. Surprise! Wakanda forever. Listen, I said a couple of things in my last video that were not inaccurate, but there was way more to the story. So I thought about it for some reason. I kind of dreamed about this last night, and I woke up and I said, okay, I'm going to tell everybody the dream. So that's what this vlog is going to be about. And listen, it's so, my life has done a few full circle things where, yeah, even when it comes to where I'm living, I've lived here before. And I came full circle back to this place, and I had no intention in coming back here, but opportunity presented itself, and so I went for it. I had been here for a year in 1995 or 6 or 7, one of those years. I was here before, but I was only here for a year, so I don't know how many people out there travel for a living, but when you do that and you hop around every year, you really don't get to know the ambiance of a place. You really don't see how it operates. You might see how how fucked up the traffic is. You might see, you might make a friend here and there. Maybe I didn't when I was here for a year. I came here with my then fiance, who I did end up marrying after I left here and went somewhere else for a contract or a job, I think. But, so anyway, my life has come full circle. Listen, that dream, I'm going to tell you guys this dream, and it occurred to me that my soul had been screaming since I was a little boy, before I realized, oops, my body isn't what I thought it was supposed to be. And, but I wasn't aware of it at the time, and I wasn't confused yet. When I became confused was like from the age of 10 until I was 13, I think. Or actually 8 years old, when I realized my genitals weren't the same as a little boy's. But at that age, you have no reasoning abilities. Did you know that the human brain does not stop developing until you're around 25 years old? Maybe less for some people, maybe more for others, give or take a year or two. That the human brain doesn't, from being a baby to a toddler to a child to a teenager and to a young adult, the brain continuously develops and then stops around the age of 25. And then things begin to solidify as far as your being is concerned. So I don't want to get too much into that because I have a lot of theories about it, but you can even look that up. You can research that on the internet. What age do adults really become adults? They don't become adults just because of the age of consent in the states that they live in the countries that they live in the religion that they live in, that the culture that they're in. I mean, there's some countries that, like Jewish people. When a young boy has a bar mitzvah, and I think is it is it the same word for females? I don't know, but at the age of 13 is when they become adults in that culture. In other cultures, it's, you're a minor when they consider you an adult. But you don't think like an adult. No, 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 no. You are all screwed up, think you know everything, and you don't know shit. Until you're around 25 when you start realizing, oh, wow, there's a lot of crap that I don't know. But, when you're in that, you're coming out of that rebellious teenager stage. And I don't care if you rebelled externally or whether you rebelled internally. Either way, when you go through being a teenager, things start shifting and moving. You're trying to spread your wings. You want to become an adult so fast that you start squeezing in months on your birthday. I remember when, I was 13, 14, 15. When I was 13, I was really 14. When I was 14, I was really 15. When I was 15, I was really 16. You'd squeeze some years in there trying to hurry up and grow up. And then once you grow up and you start getting older and older and older, you start thinking the opposite. That's when women will start saying, I stopped aging at the age of 28. Remember Lucille Ball? She used to say that all the time on TV. It's kind of funny. And a lot of women, and maybe even men, stop aging and stop telling people their age as they get to a certain threshold where it's no longer cool to squeeze years in older than you are. At any rate, let me go back. My soul has been screaming since I was 13 years old that I knew I was something, but I didn't know what to call it. I knew I was a boy, but I didn't know to say that. I didn't know to embrace that. I didn't know how to own that. So in 2003, I had lost my career. And how I lost my career was this. Right before the year 2000 came along, servers were beginning to be developed. And I was a mainframe software engineer and a software consultant. I was traveling a lot for a living. I was getting contracts around the country. And when the year 2000 hit, and my company, the company that I specialized in, took a great big nosedive. They went out of business, virtually. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, they went out of business. And then servers came in. These little bitty freaking things came in to replace these huge mainframes that used to take up a lot of space. I mean, they would take up warehouse spaces. And I used to be able to, I started in hardware. And so I configured and put the monsters together. I was climbing into the ceiling, dropping lines into people's offices that connected to the shit. I don't even know what to call them anymore. But they had these big cards that all of the lines connected to the mainframe. Anyway, so mainframes got replaced with servers. And the first thing that really started happening to me and other black people that I knew was that when that happened, if you weren't in a secure type of job or whatever, we were the first to be let go. Okay? We were the first to be fired, laid off, and whatnot. Even if in the company that I worked for, the mother company of the system that I worked with. And most of my friends got laid off before, my black friends got laid off before the white ones did. All over the Bay Area. That is where I was working. That is where the corporate office was. And the same thing happened when servers came in and mainframes went out. So a few years passed. I found myself in a very bad emotional, mental place. At the time, I didn't know that my identity was very attached to what I did for a living. And when the rug got pulled out from under me there, I about lost my mind. Became very depressed, clinically depressed, when I lost my six-figure income like that. I took a dive, and as my income took a dive and my life took a dive, I took a dive. And the only thing that kept me going all those years, I went into a 14-year depression. And the only thing that kept me going all those years that I woke up every day and wished I had died the night before was what I got taught at Alcoholics Anonymous, which was don't quit 1 second before the miracle happens. That is virtually the only thing that kept me from taking my own life, from figuring out a way to do that. Instead, I would wake up and I would just be so depressed that I woke up and was without my career. I tried to kickstart it again by getting my degree. That started in 2004. But I had this dream in 2003 that woke me up out of a dead sleep, and I wrote about it. And what was that dream? It was all for a full circle. It was all connected to me being a trans man. So in this dream, I was both man and woman in that dream. As the man, I was a leader, some kind of a minister, but not a religious minister, but a spiritual minister. And as a woman, I was in the back of this crowd of over 40,000 people. Now, I remember these numbers distinctly because I still remember the dream. I don't remember intricate details of it, but I remember some things about it. So I was moving over 40,000 people as me, the man, as the leader, and me, the woman, as the follower, pushing people forward to listen to me as the man, as the leader. Bear with me, because and listen, when I had this dream, I didn't understand it at all. I was like, how in the hell can I be two different people, two different genders in the same dream? That freaked me out. That's why I woke up in a cold sweat. And I was getting ready to get kicked into the street. I was getting ready to be homeless again for the second time in my life. The first time I was in my teens. And then the second time I was in my 40s. So I was getting ready to get put in the street because of this. Oh, I want to call her the B word so bad, but you know what I mean. This B that worked for the Salvation Army, this particular residential treatment program that I was living in. This lady didn't like me because I refused to go to the groups. I went to a couple of groups, and it was just, I said, you know what, if I keep going to these groups, I'm going to end up sick like most of these people in here are. I did not want to hang out with the people I was living with. I absolutely did not. I said no. I refused to go to these groups. The stories and the stuff that they were saying were so depressing that I ended up feeling worse after those meetings than I felt better. And so I refused to go to those groups, and because of that, this new director came in who was just full of herself, and she wanted to change everything. And I didn't go along with the program. I wasn't going along with the program, so she put me in the street. Now, mind you, she was letting people ride on paying the rent and all sorts of things. I don't remember how the rent... I think everybody had to try to at least get a part-time job, if not a full-time job. Most of the people that were there had various kinds, stages of mental issues. Um, God, my roommate. Okay, we won't talk about my roommate. Let's go back to the dream. I had two roommates. One of them I had to leave for 2 days while they evicted her because of some shit that went down in the apartment. Anyway, you got stuck together with these strangers, and I was in that apartment when I had this dream, and so I was moving over 40,000 people on foot across 3 states in the United States in the Midwest. It started like somewhere around. Shit, I have a U.S. I have a U.S. map over here. Uh, it was like the South, and you know what? I'd never been. I'd never lived. Had I lived in the South before? No, I hadn't. I hadn't lived down in the South before. So it was 3 states. Boom, boom, boom. In the lower part of the United States, the southern part of the United States, and I was moving everybody forward across these states, helping them achieve their version of prosperity as the leader. And me as the woman was pushing them forward to keep listening to me as the leader to show them how to get there, to their version of prosperity. That didn't always necessarily mean financially. And as people achieved that, they would drop out of the crowd and new people would join the crowd. So me as the woman was also recruiting people to walk with me as the leader. It was intense, folks. It was one of those kinds of dreams that was technicolor movie shit. So, and I don't remember anymore because I lost the dream that was on my computer. I lost those details. I don't remember what I was saying to get these people to their particular version of prosperity. See, it didn't matter who they were. It didn't matter what religion they were. It didn't matter what class they were. It didn't matter what color they were, what race they were, what culture they came from. It didn't matter. All these people were following me as the leader, as the male leader. So at one point, while we was walking, there was some kind of thing in the air, some kind of probably a chopper. Yeah, it had to be a helicopter that was trying to shoot me from above, and at least 100 of them people gathered around in a circle and made me lay on the ground while they protected me from whatever was shooting at me from above. And they died. Some died because they got hit by whatever that. It was like a laser beam. So you know it was a dream because we don't have anything that, we don't have weapons like that yet. This dream was very symbolic. Now, and then whatever it was that was trying to kill me flew away. And we just kept walking and kept pushing forward. And I kept walking forward and people kept following and then me as the woman in the back kept pushing everybody forward. It was unbelievable. And check it out. In that dream, me as the leader never got anything out of doing that. I didn't get rich. I didn't get paid. I didn't get frills. I didn't get publicity. I didn't get media attention. I didn't get any of that to be doing that for those people. And it was more like up to that point in time, like I said, I had been helping people with their lives, with their emotions, with their thoughts, with their mentality since I was 26 years old. And I lost my train of thought. Happens when you get older, I swear to God. And it's really hard when you're making videos to keep your train of thought going. Something about how what I was doing to get these people. Okay. So yeah, I didn't get nothing. I didn't get paid. All I got was the satisfaction of people would come up and hug me when they attained that place that they wanted to be. Whether it was a family of people, whether it was one person, whether it was a couple, whatever. Whatever it was, when they reached their goal, they drop out of the crowd and other people will replace them. Now, like I said, when I woke up, I had that dream freaked me out. I had no idea what it meant. I struggled with it for just a minute before I said, okay, it was just a dream. Ha. No, it wasn't. It was a prediction. Now, the method, we were on foot, right? But how did I find 40,000 people plus to walk with me? Back then, the internet wasn't what it is today. And back then, I did not know that that might have something to do with how I was going to reach that many people. Now, I never put it together when I had that dream that this was something that was going to happen in my future. I had no idea. I didn't realize that that was part of my purpose until 4 years after I became aware that I was transgender. Yeah. So the significance of a dream like that, let's see, 2003 and 2015 is when I finally embraced it and stopped fighting it. So that's 12 years. Is that 12? No, 2003, 2015. Yes, it is. So it took 12 years for that dream to start manifesting itself. Once I stopped fighting that I was transgender, I fought that for 3 years. I did not want to be something that society hated even more than it did black people, or equally so. I see a bunch of transgender people right now whining about the discrimination and the oppression, and it's like, hey, we've been dealing with that all our lives. Join the fucking club. And they are pitching a fit. They don't like being treated like black people, but they're being treated like black people. They're being treated like we've been treated all our lives. And eventually they will win and get their rights before we will, before black people get their civil rights. We made progress during this 1960s, 50s, 60s, partially the 70s. We just made progress. But notice the LGBT as a community, as a movement, got their shit and kept it moving. Okay, they didn't stop the Cape for Civil Rights movement at the same time. That stuff happened in the 1980s. And they just sped on past black folks and got their rights because they economically were in a better position than black people have ever been. You know, yeah, we got some entertainers that squeak by. We got athletes that squeak by. We've got, comedians that squeak. Everything that society lets us have is inside of entertainment of some sort, entertaining them. That is the only place where we are I will say aloud, to excel. And still not to the ceiling, not to a billionaire status. It takes a special kind of special of a black person to achieve the billionaire status. They have to be a hell of a businessman or businesswoman to be black and reach that level. Now, LGBT black, they don't reach that level. Ain't nobody get rich that's black. LGBTQ plus now. A whole bunch of other acronyms. So, that dream was significant because when I finally embraced who I am, guess who I became? The dude in the dream. And I'm still, hey, the way that I had to live my life, the way that I was raised to live my life, the way that I was forced by society to live my life because I wasn't aware of what I was and didn't transition until I was 58, is still very much a part of me. I don't like getting misgendered, but the woman's life that I led is real. You know, I had to, everything that I did and the way that I excelled and the way that I succeeded was as a woman to society. But inside, I had the drive of a man. I did things and jumped over things and hurdled things the way a man did, not the way a black woman did. Okay? I made a 6-figure income, folks, without a degree. I got my degree after I lost my career, trying to scramble to get back into the market. And by the time I got my degree, which was 2006, I got a bachelor degree in information technology, magna cum laude. I would have gotten what's the first one? Magna cum laude, pseudo cum laude. Okay, that's like a 4.0. I would have gotten that, but at the end of my schooling, they decided that I was a horrible science student when I was in high school. Science was my worst subject, my worst. My best subjects were math and English and gym class because I was an athlete. I was a great athlete. Shit, if I had been the right gender, I could have gone pro. And that's how good I was. I beat everybody doing a lot of things. But I've always been little. I'm a little guy. So where was I? So, shit. I'm trying to connect the dots here. So I did my drive and my ambition and the way that I succeeded. Oh, the class. Okay. They decided that I was a horrible science student and I needed to retake science courses. Now, everybody else graduated from the university and I had to stay behind and go an extra year to take science classes, which I hated. Biology and a couple other things that I don't even want to remember because I struggled through it. I got good grades, but I didn't ace those classes. So at the end of the 2 years, I was see, I forgot that word again because I didn't make it to that. But I was at a 4.0 until I took those classes, and then I dropped to a magna cum laude. Anyway, I got my degree in 2006, and still couldn't kickstart my career because at that point, when people looked at my resume, it probably looked to them, definitely didn't look like I was a young person anymore because I had so much in my resume. At the same time, I was stepping into an industry that had changed. And they used that against me. They used my age against me. They used my experience against me. I would go on interviews and they'd say, "You're overqualified." And then I would go to other interviews and they'd say, you're underqualified because you don't know anything about the server technology. You've only been in school. They pulled the same bullshit they pulled when I was a teenager in college and got out of college and was trying to get a job. I was underqualified, underqualified, underqualified. Went into the military because I was sick of that narrative. And what I would say to them is, okay, fine, I'm underqualified, but how do you think I'm going to get the experience if nobody will hire me? That's some underhanded shit that they do to black people too. They don't underqualify white people. They open that door wide and say, come on in. They don't have to have a degree or anything, but they kept giving me that jargon. And the more no's I got, I began to get really upset. And a dear friend of mine told me to join the military. And after thinking about it for a while, I did. And that's where I got my training in computers, was the Air Force. Somebody called, this veteran called it, oh, you was in the chair force? And I said, okay, all right, I'll take that hit. But guess what? That chair force earned me a six-figure income. What did yours earn you? Ooh, sat them down. Okay, you gonna make fun of me? What'd you do after you got out of the military? Tell you what I did. I kickstarted my career with how I got trained. And I taught myself. See, when people whine and complain about not having the piece of paper, not having the experience, not having this, not having that in the corporate world, I have about that much empathy and sympathy for them. Because look, you know how I went to Stacy's bookstore. I can't see how much I've been talking, but I'm getting ready to stop. I went to Stacy's bookstore and bought self-teach guides to teach me BASIC, Pascal, and some other language. See, I didn't let the lack of college experience stop me, even though I went to college and almost flunked out. I was too busy partying. So anyway, okay, the dream. This started with the dream and it's going to end with the dream, which was once I embraced myself as a transgender man, the leadership naturally followed. I had been a leader all along, but I was a leader as a woman. I wasn't a leader as a man. So that whole thing shifted the entire dynamics of my life, and people came. What was that Kevin Costner movie where he built a baseball diamond in his backyard and somebody said, if you build it, they will come? That's kind of what happened to me. When you embrace who you really are, it came. I didn't ask to be that. I didn't want to be that. It just happened. The same with me being an activist in the group that I was in. That stuff just happened. I didn't raise my hand and tell everybody, you know what, anybody black coming through here, speak to me about what's going on in the area. I didn't ask for that. I didn't volunteer that. People just came to me and asked, do you know? Do you know any other groups to go to? And I did, because I scoped out the scenery and I joined other groups. At one point, I was going up to maybe 4 or 5 different groups. And then I started shaving them off, the ones I didn't really care for. And then there were some I didn't go to at all because the people were just too young for me. They were doing physical activity things, and I can't do physical activity things anymore. So they came, and they came, and they came. And the only difference between what happened in my life and that dream was the vehicle that was used to reach that many people, which was the internet. and I didn't know it at the time. I've been trained in that. I was part of the entire internet movement and development and all of that because I was inside the computer industry when it happened. I almost started a BBS, which was something that was going on before the internet became the internet, which was the World Wide Web at the time. But I almost created a BBS, a bulletin board service in the local area that I lived in. Instead, I joined one and started programming this little monster. I concocted a thing that the other people that were programming things in there too couldn't hack. They couldn't get beyond my gatekeeper that I built for that thing. No matter what door they tried to enter it, they couldn't break it. And yeah, so I was programming stuff for the bulletin board service that I belonged to, that I met a woman in, and ended up in a relationship with her. My mother loved that woman dearly before she passed, and I met her at that on that BBS, and then the World Wide Web came, and then the internet came. I had no idea that that stuff would be the progression to something that would happen to me later in life. I had no idea. So this is probably why when I tell my story to a lot of people, they think, "Oh my God, you have lived so many distinctly different lives." But see, God uses me in that way. Things happen, one door closes, another door opens, type of thing has been going on and on and on since I was young. Since I was young. Our house burnt to the ground and we moved from the ghetto to an exclusively all-white, rich neighborhood in that city. And so stuff has been happening in my life since I was, aside from being the kid of a celebrity and getting to hopscotch around the country. My parents trusted me because I was a very independent child, very independent. And so they would put me on planes by myself and fly me to my dad. My mom would put me on the plane and fly me to where my dad was playing at the time. And I remember them giving me this damn red purse. I don't like purses. I don't like anything, girl, female, except them. I like them, but I don't like the female stuff, the feminine stuff they tried to force on me. I lost that purse when I had a layover in Chicago. I didn't lose it on purpose. I wasn't thinking about that thing, and I left it in the chair when I was waiting for the next plane. I had to deplane and then get on another plane. But they trusted me to do stuff like that when I was young. I was on my way to New York to I guess my dad, the Cardinals were playing the Mets, the New York Mets, and I follow that man anywhere. And my drive and my ambition and how I am and who I am is like him. It just wasn't in sports. If I could have gone further when I was young, I would have, but I wasn't. I knew there would be a wall. Women's sports were not popular back then. The only thing you could do as a woman to become a pro was play tennis or golf. I don't even know if we were in the golfing scene yet. But so it was very limited. And I wasn't doing nothing wearing no skirt. I wasn't going to play. My mother tried to get me to play tennis. And I purposefully was bad at it. I didn't want to have to wear skirts all the time. So that was the dream. And, I hope you enjoyed this commentary about it. There was more to it that I'm not saying, but because when I first, my homie, my best man, my best friend, he was the first person that I told that dream to. And we were talking about a bunch of stuff. I could get really deep with that guy, and he could get really deep with me. And I told him that dream. So I said a whole bunch of other stuff about it that was very metaphysical. in nature, because there's another aspect to me that I will never say in public, that I am, besides a black transgender man, son of a celebrity, accomplished software consultant. There's just so much to my story, clean and sober for over 35 years. Just that's why I'm writing a book. I wrote half of the book already. I'm just trying to get over the sexism and the transphobic part of society that doesn't want to help me publish this story. And there's an aspect of being the celebrity son that's also spooking them. It's like people are subconsciously protecting my father because they sense that shit will most certainly hit the fan when my story goes public. Unlike Chaz Bono, who didn't have a father for this stuff to run over him, and Cher wasn't letting shit run over her. In fact, she helped him. She opened doors for him to do and be and go where he got to. And he wasn't a very good entertainer, but he was already in the industry, and that industry is very, very protective of white LGBTQ plus people. That's why he, ended up on Dancing with the Stars. But if I hadn't seen that, if I hadn't seen him doing his thing on that show, I wouldn't have known what I was. Because that was the show that I realized, oh my God, after all these years, that's it. That's what I have been struggling with all my life since I was 8 years old. Probably since I was 6 years old, because that's when I started having these thoughts about, I'm the son my father never thought he had. And that was the age when I was in his clothes and a bunch of stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this story. I'm not going to take up any more of your time because I've already talked. I could talk. I'm a talker. I am chatty. I'm Blabby Billy. That's what. Somebody gave me that nickname. I don't remember who. So, everybody, before I tune out, and you don't hear from me for a while, have an awesome, productive, wild and crazy, fun. I was taught to learn to laugh at myself. And that also, aside from not quitting 1 second before the miracle happens, is how I made it through a 14-year depression without offing myself. It's a long time to know you're depressed and still be helping people inside of that depression. I'll tell y'all about that some other time. Or it's in my book. It'll be in my book. Everybody have a good one. Pollinator.